2 dudes, maybe even 1. I don't know. It depends on how you build it out.
Yeah. So got a quick apology because I just put us live on the Twisted channel too, because we weren't live on that one. So if you're just joining us on the Twisted channel, apologies for being a couple minutes late. We
wanted to do that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because we're talking specifically Twisted. I've been working on I've been doing a lot of rebasing, particularly since, and I know Alder is thrilled that I'm no longer putting my models on clear bases. But so full transparency, one of the bigger reasons I'm doing it is because the clear bases, you can really see dust.
Oh, yeah.
Like you can really see dust. But also with the 3D printer, now that I have a resin printer, I can just pump them out, man. Yeah, I got my coffee, Alder. I was waiting for you. Wait, I got to put it in front of my face so we can't see it. So now I'm able to print the kind of stuff I want. So I've been printing bases for my Deep Wars models, my Twisted models, and my Drowned Earth stuff. For those of you who've been watching for a while, those are my 3 games in no particular order, and the real litmus test for those 3 is the sculpts. I mean, that's what got me on all 3 of those games. They're just some of the best sculpts out there, in my opinion, in those 3 games. But that's mostly what I've been working on. I have gotten a few models painted right now. I know it's hard to believe, but I'm printing 40K stuff. Not for me. Not for me.
Okay.
It's not for me. My
That's
buddy
allowable.
Seth.
You can peddle that somewhere else. But
No. But I mean, he's buying the files and the resin, and having a resin printer is kind of like having a boat. You don't want to be the one that owns the resin printer or the boat. You just want to have a friend that owns it. So I'm Seth's friend that owns the resin printer.
Okay.
So I've been printing some stuff up for him. He's starting an orc army, and happy to do it. That's why I have the printer.
And the orc armies are fun.
Orc armies are fun, and there's so many good sculpts out there now. I think he's paid between the bottle of resin. He's less than $100 for everything,
Wow.
Files and the 2 bottles of resin that he's bought for me to print with. Less than $100, and it's probably going to be $400 or $500 worth of what you would have to purchase.
That's money saving. Right there.
Oh yeah. I know one of them. He paid $5 for a file, and then the actual model is $50.
Wow.
So that's kind of a big savings. That's less than the whole bottle of resin and the STL file. So that's good. But hey, let's get into it.
Okay, yeah, let's get into it, because we might run out of time, because when it comes to our favorite games, we tend to go on and on. And before we do, now, any of you guys that are new to our show, something we started, whenever Mac would mention Twisted, I would give him a little bell ring. And it's kind of become a running joke on the show. Well, today, I can't do that. I've been ringing it too much. So we're going to
you're ringing it the whole show.
Yeah, we're going to do, at the beginning of this show, a machine gun ding bell.
Machine gun, okay.
Just to get them all out of the way.
Well, Tonio already pre-dinged us anyway, and Alder jumped on too. So,
so machine gun ding.
There you go, because we are talking about Twisted. So the reason we wanted to revisit Twisted is because for any of you that are fans, you'll be aware that ownership has changed hands. If you're not aware of that, then real brief synopsis is that Twisted was owned by Demented Games in Australia and has now been purchased by Derek Osborne, who also owns Mercs here in the States, who's actually, it went from being on the other side of the world to me to 2 hours away from me.
Yeah, how about that?
So I'm pretty happy with that part of it. One of the cool things about it is Pete, who did most of the rules writing and stuff, who is one of the original creators, is still working along with Derek, which I think is great. And I talked a little bit with Derek, and they're not going to flip the game upside down, which I think is great, because I love the game. But let's talk a little bit about Twisted. Do you remember the setting enough to set us up? Come on, you
it's
can
been
do
a
it.
while for me. So let me, for you guys don't know, I'll give you the brief summary of the game. So the summary of the game is it's Victorian age, okay, and see, I don't know if I can describe it correctly, Mac, with the nodes and all that stuff. I'm gonna confuse
All right.
people.
So it's a steampunk setting. Here's the I don't even know what hand to do this with. Here's the symbol for the eye of the engine. I love this symbol right here. You can see the eye right there. But it's a steampunk game, and it's this Victorian setting. And while it does have a time frame that it's played in, right? It's late 19th century. So while that is the setting, because of the way that the game is written, it kind of it can take from across the timeline, which is really cool. So it's the engine is this world engine, this power behind the scenes that is controlling things and manipulating things. And then of course you have your factions within that. And we're not doing a deep dive into the game because we're just going to talk about a number of other things. But that's kind of the setting for the game. You've got 4 factions currently with a new one coming, and which was being released before ownership transferred anyway. So you've got the Dickensians, which is characters from Charles Dickens stories, obviously. Well, not obviously, but that's what it is. The Scions of the Sand, who's basically your Indiana Jones. There you go. The Scions unopened. Come on, man. What are you doing? You're killing me. Put them together and paint them. You got the Guild of Harmony, which is kind of all of your fairy tales, a little bit of Disney thrown in there, some dark fantasy, and then the Servants of the Engine, which are exactly what they sound like, servants of the engine, doing the will and the way of the things that the engine wants. Look at him. He just disappeared. That was amazing. So that's kind of the synopsis for the game. I know one of the things that we had talked about before that we really liked about the game, Eric, was the dice, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They used a full gambit of dice from 6-sided all the way up to 20-sided.
Four all the way up to 20. They used the full polyhedral dice set.
I got them right in front of me. I should have looked.
Yep. Now, it does create a little bit of swing with the D20s, but it's very much a narrative-driven game. So it lends itself very heavily to that. I know we've commented on this a number of times that one of the big things about it is because it uses that polyhedral dice set, and so many war gamers got their start with the D&D red box, right? Coloring your own dice. You kind of get that same feel. You get that same vibe that you're playing a role-playing game when you play it. The miniatures are masterfully sculpted. There's a number of different people that did the sculpting. Sebastian Archer, who's one of the creators of the game, did some of them. Luke did some of them. I'm not going to try to say his last name because I'll mess it up, but he's a pretty amazing sculptor who's done things for lots of different games. Yeah, there you go. So the minis are just super characterful. They're just awesome. I mean, you can't beat them for the quality. And you have some in resin, the majority of them in metal. So that one right there is the Lancer, and that is my nemesis. And I want to tell you why, because that model is metal. And he has very skinny ankles.
Yeah, mine has gone too on that one.
And he is a very heavy model. So that will probably eventually end up in resin. Now, bear in mind, as we talk about the future of Twisted, I do not know anything. We're just speculating and brainstorming and talking about the things that we would like to see come out. And one of the things I wanted to say about that is if you are really interested in Twisted, you can go over and join the Discord. And there's a Twisted Discord. There's a link in the Facebook group. But the reason being is whether you're an active player or a new player, there is a channel in the Discord called Twisted Community Ideas. And what that is Pete and Derek were looking for, hey, we need feedback. We need thoughts from those of you who have played the game, who maybe are new and coming into the game, of direction. And just because you throw an idea out there doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen. But, if there's a rule thing out there that you'd like to see addressed or something along those lines, throw it on that channel, because that's Pete's in there and he's looking at that, and Derek's in there and he's looking at that. So that's something that you can kind of start giving input on as Twisted progresses from here. I think we're still going to see that's the best comment so far. The engine is listening. That's because that's Derek. So the engine is actually listening right now. The engine is actually listening. So that's some of the direction. Like I said, everything we're talking about is purely speculation for what we'd like to see. In the comments section, if there's something that you think is a great idea that you'd like to see happen, throw that up there too. So we've kind of laid the groundwork for what the game is, right? And the foundation for it. I love Twisted because those who've watched this for a while know the first thing that gets me is the models, right? Mm-hmm. It's few and far between of games that I think just have over the top models. Like, I love models, period. But there are some that are just head and shoulders above, in my opinion, right? This is totally subjective, but in my opinion, that are just head and shoulders above so many others. And Twisted's one of those games. So it's the models, but the factions. So,
yeah, I was going to say the factions are what drew me in. I mean, my favorite model was probably the first one I painted was the steampunk Tinkerbell. Yep. I like that they took those almost, I want to call them classic trope type characters like Tinkerbell, and they did like Wizard of Oz and stuff too. And they kind of, hence the name, twisted them a little bit to fit in this kind of steampunky dark world. Very interesting.
Yeah. And I remember that was the first Coastal Con too. You entered it in the paint contest.
Yep.
Terrence, we are in that group as well. And support. Yeah, that's going to be coming for stuff that we're going to want people out there. I'm speaking like I'm somebody. I'm not. I'm just like a fan. But, for me, myself, as I go to conventions, it's what I'm going to be back to running, right? It's typically what I've run anyway, but with that lull in the middle, I always kind of felt like I was doing a bait and switch on people, right?
Because hopefully with it being based in the US now, stuff at cons will be easier to run and get exposure.
Right.
I mean, now, there's only so much that you could do before, just because a lot of people had a hard time once they demoed it. Where do I get it? And Alan was kind of the only resource at that time.
Right. And he would, when we would, so if you haven't played Twisted, to give you an idea of the hook that this game has, I remember the first time that I ran it at Siege of Augusta, which is not really a very big convention. We're talking maybe 300-400 people tops, like at peak time. And I ran Twisted for 2 days. And I want to say, if Alan jumps on here, he can correct me, but I want to say that he sold like $600 or $700 worth of just Twisted merchandise. And it's not because I'm that great at running demos or my tables are great. I think my tables are great, but it's because the hook of the game is what pulled them in. Alder, do I think there'll be a version 2 rule book? I'm not really sure if there's going to be a version 2 or an FAQ. And if Derek is still on here, I mean, he can speak to that far more than I can. But I do know there's some stuff that needs to be FAQ'd for those that play the Dickensians right here. One of the things that got FAQ'd recently, actually, well, not too recently, but more recently, was the victory points for Erkin. That was a big thing. Model count for a typical game is going to be between 6 and 8. It does scale up and down really, really well. It doesn't scale way up too well. Typically around 200, 250 points. Then obviously, depending on faction, it's going to it's going to vary because some factions are going to be stacked with heavy hitters that are going to be expensive. And then you have the best faction, which is the Dickensians, which are going to have Erkin, which are super, super cheap. And as far as the Adepticon question, I know Derek's plan is to be at the next Adepticon,
which is going to be in Milwaukee now.
Which is going to be, that doesn't make any difference to me because it's like 500 hours away anyway. But
it's further now for you.
I know, right? I just made that drive too, dang it, for Navy graduation. But that is the plan. There is not a Sherlock Holmes action figure. There's probably a Sherlock Holmes action figure somewhere. There is, however, I have him right here. Let me see if I can keep my camera from not focusing. Hold on,
I gotta make you big too when you show.
I got a zombie on there. So there is Detective Aberline. Come on, buddy, focus for me. All right, he's not going to focus. I'll throw a picture of him up in the Discord. And he's part of the Servants of the Engine. He has a great faction dynamic within where he has these little mechanized bobbies that he can kind of command around. Super cool. Lots of neat stuff. Let's see what else. Con support will be available for those who serve the engine. And be warned, though, the engine is fickle. The engine is fickle. Also, one of the best parts of the game. Poor Alder. He says not as convenient for everyone because now it's all the way in Australia. Well, maybe, Alder, you need a 3D printer because maybe what we'll end up with down the road is STL files. Who knows, right? We might have files for, you never know. Stuff changes, right? But yes, not as convenient for Alder. I'm sorry, brother. It makes me sad for you that it's not as convenient. Makes me happy for me, but sad for you. I wanted to hit on the engine real quick because it's such a crucial part of the game. Is we play these games that have this random element dice. Yep. Well, what I love so much is the engine. It's like Derek said, the engine is always watching, and it is such a fickle mistress because at one moment the engine may be on your side, and then with simply drawing a card, there you go, the eye of the engine cards, simply drawing a card can turn the tide of that just like that. And it's not, I remember when I first got into the game, my initial thought was, oh man, this is going to break whatever my plan is. Like, this is going to be too random.
But
it's not.
But one of the things I thought was cool that we found out is how much it adds to that story. The storytelling is just ridiculous now.
Oh, there was Alan. He said, yes, that was about what he made. Was just it was just great. Okay, so there will be a 2TE, Twisted Second Edition. So there's the answer there, Alder. Who knows what that looks like down the road? I know, like I said at the beginning, that Pete and Derek are collecting input on the Discord channel, and obviously you can put it up in the Facebook as well. And I will keep an eye out for both of those and kind of make sure they stay near the top so that they're seen. But the other thing I wanted to do was this. There's also a channel on the Discord, and this is just to sort of reignite some excitement, is because at the end of the run, right before Pete and Sebastian decided they were going to sell, there was kind of a build up with some minis and stuff. And some of them you can see in the Discord channel. So let me share my screen here. Here we go. You can see some of the upcoming stuff. So here we have Miss Haversham coming soon to your Dickensians because they're the best. Just, everybody needs a scary ghost with, in my mind's eye. And when I get this model, because as everyone knows, I will get all of them because that's what I do, is if you look at the teacup,
is it Miss Potts?
And the pot. But
see, now that's what I loved about these characters is just the nods, the little nods to, the fictional characters that we grew up with, basically classic characters.
Now, I don't know if this was intentional or not. I suspect it was. But if you look very carefully, you're probably not going to really be able to see it here, but if you go to the Discord channel, you'll see it. If you remember the animated Beauty and the Beast with Angela Lansbury playing the teapot and the cup being chipped because he had a chip out of him, that teacup has a chip in it.
Such a subtle little thing to add.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. You'll have to watch the comments for me, buddy, while I scroll down here.
The model actually looks like, it reminds me of the library ghost from Ghostbusters too.
Oh yeah, there's probably a little bit of that in there. I think Luke sculpted that one, but I don't hold me to that. And then, oh yes, there you go. I love this guy. This is Alistair. Coming soon to your free colonies. So that was the other faction that was in the works. Who knows what happens with that now. This is just stuff that was, and we're looking at this just to build excitement again. I know, Ben, I cannot wait.
Yeah, Ben, I was gonna say, Matt can't wait either.
I cannot wait for new Dickensian stuff. I am telling you, I think I've said this a million different times when we talk about fluff in games. The thing I love about the factions within Twisted itself is the conflict within each faction between the supposed leader type models. But I think the most full and well developed. What's up, Spaz? The most full and well developed conflict is the one within the Dickensians between Bill and Nancy. And wow, I can't believe how did you ever just your brain turns off?
You blanked.
I totally.
I would grab
Fagin.
the box.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. My favorite model. I forgot his name. And Fagin.
I would grab the box, but I don't have any.
And the Irkin. It's okay. It's okay. I knew it would come to me.
Game within a game, like Terrence is saying.
Yeah. So now this was my favorite iteration, is because we got to. I got to see this in progress. So this is
he's saying another game, The Temptation.
Oh man, you listen. If there's no other game, you got to get into it.
At least check it out. I mean, if anything, get some cool models to paint. Yep. Like I said, Tinkerbell was my favorite. That's what drew me in for that faction.
Yep. And if you look real closely here, again, you should really go to the Discord for this. Is this little voodoo doll right here is a voodoo doll of Lancelot, who's if you play and you've ever fought the servants of the engine, you hate Lancelot, as I hate Lancelot because. All
right, thanks for stopping in, Alder. Alder's got to get back to work.
Okay, Alder, thanks, buddy, for stopping in, man. Good times for future of the game. I'm so excited, man. So thanks for stopping in, though. So here is the finish of that sculpt. This is Ma Rainey.
Wow. That's cool.
And that is a garbage can lid in her hand. Was a real person, but she was based on some folklore. And the reason she's got a big old fat cigar, she was reportedly quite the firecracker of a woman. She was a blues singer. They actually made a movie about her with Chadwick Boseman, no less. He was in the movie. But she was reported to have beaten a man nearly to death with a garbage can lid. So that's why she has a garbage can lid in that. And so those were some of the sneak peeks. And if you go back through and yes, there are a handful of battle reports on YouTube. Go and check those out. There's also some stories on YouTube that'll give you some of the background fluff if you're not familiar with the game. So you can go and check that out. Yep, we did those.
Go back and look in our Twisted Tales. You got to go back a little bit in our videos, but yeah, they're just audio read-throughs of some of those stories.
Yep, of some of the stories. So it's really exciting. There's some battle report stuff on the Discord channel as well. There's actually a lot of really, really, really good pictures in the Discord for Twisted. So I would encourage you, if you're not in there, to go check it out. You might have to scroll back a little ways because obviously activity hasn't been real high. Games are what they are when they're in that transitional period.
But there's plenty out there. It's been around long enough. And one of the things that really I thought was cool, and we've been guilty of this, is creating original characters using stats, and maybe changing them up a bit. But this game has scenarios. There's a lot of it's scenario, being that it's narrative, story based. It's easy to come up with a scenario and have fun with telling that story. Yeah.
My dream is a fill-in card. That's my dream, that has like drop-down menus for all the abilities and everything, and you just print that bad boy out for your custom characters. Because I'm a hands-on guy, I got to have my card. I'm not really digital, but my buddy Seth did that for Wild West Exodus. I don't know if you remember that, Eric, but when I came up there when we did 2018 Wild West Exodus, the big game where everybody was playing, where the critters were in the boxes and everything. So those critter cards, Seth made the card for me. Okay. So it didn't have a picture on it, but did his magical abilities with Photoshop and all that stuff. And so we did the cards. I think he did them. Stuart may have done them for me. I don't remember. Anyway, somebody did them and they were awesome because I had like an official card that was something that I just made up for the game, which was the critters, which I think Wyatt Earp got killed by a giant scorpion.
Yeah, I think he did, if I remember. Or at least right. Got severely... They jumped out of the bushes or something.
Yeah. Well, he was in the cave. He was in the cave when that happened. So there was that. But that's kind of, I mean, another thing that I would like to see in the future is the delights. So if you're short just a couple of points, say you're playing 250 points and you're at 248, there's some extra equipment that you can buy. And, they're 2, 3, 4, 5 points. There you go. Dr. Disraeli. Oh, you weren't there. I thought you were on Dr. Disraeli's delights. But that was Porker right there, one of the Irkin. But I would like to see cards for those because I've used them before and they're great, but I always forget that I have them because I don't have a card that I can put on top of whoever's got it. There you go. And those are all the delights, and they're different point levels to, however many points you need to make up. So I would love to see those in a card form. And if they don't, then I'll just type some up and print some ghetto fabulous ones for myself. Yep. There's the scenarios. And I think that Ben has played through all of them. I think it's Ben. Someone in the group has played through that entire campaign. I haven't. We've just played all kinds of wild and crazy and
we had a bad habit of making our own things.
That's because I have a 6.5 foot long Zeppelin that is steampunked out. So I got to be playing on that. There you go. There's an assortment. You got Bill, the Highway Woman, Nouveau, the Flower Seller, Gretel and Hansel, and
that's the other thing I like is that like the Highway Woman is a robot, or it's right. It's not a person. It's a sentient robot.
Right. And is a generic too. So that's something that
basically.
There we go. We got some so it was Ben that played. I thought it was you that did that. Never win. That's why I remembered it was you, Ben, because I remember you said you never managed to win a game through the campaign. I feel your pain, man. I never win games. Sourberry. So one of the other things that would be really cool to see in the future is more of the minion-esque sort of models. And what I mean by that is like non-uniques. Lancelot and Nightingale is more of the non-uniques. Obviously you can only take one Bill with you when you take the Dickensians, but you can take a number of Irkin. I've done a little bit of sort of tweaking for my own table. I printed some halfling ghouls, and I'm using them as Irken, but they run with Sourberry. And so, just fun stuff like that, and having more of those optional minions to use, and then maybe even a little bit of faction within faction, like within the Guild of Harmony, you have Alice in Wonderland, and then you've also got the Wizard of Oz stuff. So, you sort of have these factions within factions. So there's just all kinds of really cool stuff that can happen. That's just exciting. Love the Irken. Of course, the Irken are the best. There's just a lot of exciting potential that can happen. It's a game that is amazing. It's head and shoulders models-wise above most games. The rule set's unique. It's dynamic. It's fun. It's very narrative-based. It's just a fun game. And it really has a great community, and it has a really great potential to grow. So if you're not in the Discord or you're not on the Facebook, I encourage you to go over and check those out. There's lots of cool stuff in there. I used to have about 1 million more pictures in there in the Facebook channel, but I got deleted from Facebook for some reason. I don't know why. All I ever post is pictures of miniatures, so I have no idea why. But because of that, all of my pictures and tables and everything are gone. But rest assured, I will be posting more. Here we go. Alan's got another comment here. Very excited to support this game again. Yeah, I am. I'm beyond excited for the possibilities of what's going to come out. New models, just new stuff, just anything. So
yeah, and if you guys are interested, I think on our Facebook page and like the files section, we may have some of our scenarios in there.
They're in the Twisted Facebook page.
They're in the Twisted Facebook.
They are. Okay. There's a zombie scenario. There's one that another gentleman wrote, and then I think Adam's swamp scenario is in there as well, but I'm not 100% certain. Okay. So you can check that stuff out, scroll through, look at all the pictures. If you ever wonder why I paint all of these extra models, it's because there are no Twisted models that I don't own that aren't already painted. Some in...
Ready to make his own up.
Yeah, and some of them I got a lot of, like the Bobbies. I think I have, let's see, 3, 6, 9...
Well, you start painting them as firemen too, I think.
I've got 15 Bobbies. Because 9 of them are painted as cops, and then the other 6 are painted as firemen. So I've got 15 Bobbies. I've got like 3 or 4 of different servants of the engine, the non-unique ones, a bunch of Irken, and anyway, it's just silly. It's silly, I tell you.
But silly. It's a good fun game. It's yes. One of those games that you can't really take it serious because you don't, with that Eye of the Engine deck, anything could happen.
Oh yeah. So, well, we went a little bit over, but that's why we call it the fastest 30-ish minutes in wargaming. So hopefully you guys are, if you're new to the game and haven't played it, hopefully you're intrigued enough to check it out. If you're an old hat at Twisted, I hope that we've done a little bit to get you excited about it again. I know I'm excited about it again. And the biggest thing you can do right now from this platform to see it continue to take off is to like, share, do what, get it out there so that other people are watching it to see what's coming out. And I'm sure that as everything gets settled, and I know there's still stuff coming over from Australia, so we're still a little bit away, I think, from seeing anything. I don't know what that means. I don't know what a little bit means. I know it's supposed to be at Adepticon, so.
But definitely get in that Discord and you know, ask your questions, make suggestions of things you want to see.
Yeah.
If you're kind of familiar with the, the world and the fluff, and I mean, there's a lot for this game that's still out there that you can check out and get a feel for the world. It's got so many possibilities for it.
Makes
it a lot of fun. I mean, we talked about you know, different placements in the world, you know, where at one point we were talking about South America and over in the Americans, and you know, so
so the engine has nodes wherever there's civilization. Whether that civilization is there or not anymore is irrelevant. You know, at one time there would have been a node there and it can be reawakened. There's a node in Egypt, there's a node in London. Why not a node in San Francisco? Why not a node in what will become Rio? Or why not a node in Tokyo or Beijing or any of those other places where you just start pulling in this folklore and these stories, and then you take your 3D printer and you go to My Mini Factory and you find you type in steampunk and you go nuts.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we were reusing a lot of Wild West Exodus figures for the homegrown stuff.
I still have a bunch that I have fully incorporated in. So anyway, I think it might be my turn to take us out. I'm not really sure, but you know, hey, it's all right. We can just.
We need Todd here to keep us straight.
We do. We need Todd here to keep us straight. But anyways, guys, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it, as we're both super excited about the direction that Twisted is going to be going. Like I said, it's a great game. I did realize that there are still a bunch of terrain pictures up in the Discord, even though they didn't survive in Facebook. So if you're not in the Discord or you just want to go look, go check them out. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, smash all the necessary buttons to do the algorithms and all that stuff so that we can get the word out. Join us every Thursday night for our shorts live stream at the end of the month. We always do a hobby hangout, so you can come for that as well. You can check us out on all of the podcast nations, worlds, digitals, all the stuff out there. We're out there. So check it out. You can also check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X, and Discord. Shoot us an email. That's the new thing, right? We're Degeneration X in wrestling. Drop us a line at indieinvasion@gmail.com if there's a game you think we should check out from an independent retailer or dealer, and we'll give it a look. Again, emphasizing the Discord. We love our Discord, so go over there, join the Discord if you're not in there, throw up some pictures, buy some models. I think that Discover Games at discovergames.net still has some Twisted merchandise. Not 100% sure of that. If Alan's still on here, he can pipe in on that you can order from there. There's some on eBay as well, so you can always check that out. And last but most certainly not least, if you want to pick up some, I got to hold my cup in front of my face because of my background. Some merchandise, we have redbubble.com/people/Indie Invasion, where you can pick up hats, coffee cups, all that other kind of cool stuff. So check that out and order yourself something cool that has the Indie Invasion logo on it. But until next week, guys, as you're out there buying lots of Twisted stuff and adding lots of pictures to all the social media to get the word out. Oh, there you go. Discover Games still has some. Don't forget to prepare yourself for the invasion.